Ever had like a big win, personally, like a huge breakthrough, something you've been working towards, and you just want to tell everyone?
Oh, yeah, totally.
But then someone's like, nope, keep it to yourself. Throws you off, right?
It's kind of like, wait, what?
Exactly. And that's what we're diving into today. This whole idea, why keep those big inner wins under wraps?
And it's not just some random advice, right?
Heh.
This goes way back.
You're right. We're tapping into wisdom from a modern spiritual master. Students call him Maharaji.
Oh, I've heard that name.
Now, stick with us here. Even if you're not, on a spiritual path, this is about growth, self-awareness.
Relationships, even. How we navigate the world.
Totally. So we've got this transcribed Q&A session with Maharaji. Raw and unfiltered, right from the source.
Like we're in the room with them.
Exactly. No fancy fireplace needed, though. I wouldn't say no to some snacks later. Haha.
Always down for snacks.
But, okay, back to it. What struck me was how clearly Maharaji explains why this whole keeping it secret thing matters.
It's not intuitive, though, is it? Like, if you've had a breakthrough, isn't that inspiring for others to hear?
Right. Celebrate with you, support you.
Yeah, you'd think so. But Maharaji has some strong arguments against sharing.
Okay, lay it on us. Why hold back?
The big one, the foundation almost, is this. Ego. Sharing can inflate it. He uses this analogy. Imagine a kid, right? Given money to start a business.
Okay, I'm with you.
Responsible, that money grows. They get more responsibility, right?
Makes sense.
But squander it,
Yeah.
support dries up, poof. Spiritual progress is kind of similar.
Oh, didn't see that coming.
Yeah, sharing those big moments, it can feed the ego. Makes you think you did it, not that something bigger is at work. And that can stall growth.
Makes you complacent.
Exactly. You hit it right on the head. Like you said, that urge to tell everyone. It can turn into looking for applause instead of the real reward, the growth itself.
So it's like trading in the gold for a cheap plastic trophy.
That's a good way to put it. And that actually leads perfectly into Maharaji's next point. Vulnerability, exploitation even.
Oh, that took a turn. How so?
Think about it. You go around broadcasting your progress, you might attract the wrong kind of attention.
Not just like negative energy, but people wanting something from you.
Exactly. Maharaji actually calls them sycophants. People who want to, like, feed off your supposed enlightenment instead of challenging you to actually grow.
Ooh, yeah. The yes men of the spiritual world. That's almost scarier than someone criticizing you.
Right. Because they validate this.
Mm-hmm.
This image you have of yourself, even if it's not totally accurate, prevents you from seeing those blind spots.
So what, you just not talk to anyone about your experiences?
It's not about total silence. Maharaji talks about seeking guidance, but from the right source.
Okay, so not blasting it on social media. Got it. But who is the right source?
He actually says it pretty simply. The master,
Hold on, that sounds kind of mystical,
he's talking about that inner compass we all have, that quiet guidance within.
Oh, okay. Tuning out the noise and listening to your own intuition.
Exactly. And that requires a certain level of what he calls digesting experiences.
Yeah. Digesting experiences. Okay, now you have to explain that one. Does that mean just like not talking about them, bottling them up?
No, not at all. It's about letting them really sink in, integrating those lessons, positive or challenging, so they become a part of you.
Like absorbing the nutrients instead of just like swallowing something whole.
Perfect analogy. It's about savoring the experience, even if it's a tough one, and letting it transform you from the inside out.
Okay, I can see that. But doesn't that take time? What about those moments where you need advice, like right now?
There's always a balance, right? You can honor that inner process and seek support when you need it.
Like a therapist, counselor, someone who can actually help you work through things.
Exactly. They're there to complement that inner work, not replace it. Maharaji isn't advocating for isolation, just mindful sharing.
Mindful sharing. I like that. So it's less about broadcasting and more about choosing the right audience, the right time.
You got it. And speaking of sharing, or not sharing, Maharaji also talks about love in this context.
Ooh, interesting. Love is usually seen as like the most expressive emotion. How does that fit into all this?
He actually makes a distinction between like worldly love and what he calls true love, the kind you experience on a spiritual path.
Okay, now I'm really curious. What does he say about that?
He's surprisingly straightforward. He says true love. It can't really be put into words. You have to live it.
Wow, so it's less about grand gestures, more about just being in that space.
Yeah, it's about that internal shift, that connection to something bigger. He compares it to trying to describe the taste of, say, a mango. You can use all the words you want.
But until you've tasted it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It just doesn't translate.
Makes sense. But that then makes me think, if we can't share these experiences, these shifts, how do we connect with others on the same path? It's like
Mm.
we're speaking this whole other language, but no one's got the dictionary, you know?
It's a paradox, for
Yeah.
sure. But Maharaji, he kind of flips the script on that. He says that real transformation, that inner depth,
Mhm.
it kind of radiates outwards
Mm.
naturally.
So instead of telling, it's about being.
Exactly. Think about it. Who are you drawn to? The people shouting from the rooftops, or the ones who just emanate this quiet sense of joy?
Yeah, that quiet confidence is magnetic.
Yeah.
Way more intriguing than someone bragging, that's for sure. Makes you want to know their secret.
Right. It sparks curiosity, which can be the first step on someone else's journey.
Wow. So much to unpack here. It's not about isolating ourselves, but shifting the focus inward, building that inner world first.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Recognizing that real growth, it often happens in the quiet moments when we're not seeking applause or validation, just being.
This has been incredible. Seriously, eye-opening stuff. For me, the biggest takeaway is, well, that this ancient wisdom, it's not so ancient after all. It's completely relevant to how we live today.
Couldn't agree more. It's a powerful message, especially now when everything's so external. This idea that the most profound changes happen in the silence, that's worth remembering.
Absolutely. It makes you wonder, what if the most incredible discoveries, the things we find along the way, what if those are meant to be cherished within? Not to boost our ego, but to enrich our own lives.
And in turn, that richness, it spills over, touches the world in ways we can't even imagine.
Something to think about, right? That's all the time we have for today's deep dive. Thanks for joining us, and until next time, keep exploring.